Let me ask you something. Have you ever truly trusted someone only to find that trust unexpectedly tested? My name is Emily Carter, and if you told me a year ago I'd be facing a challenge that would shake my marriage and my own faith in people, I would have laughed it off. I've always been the cautious type, especially when it comes to my husband Michael's friends. But life, as it does, threw me a curveball I never saw coming. Here's the setup. Michael, my husband, works grueling hours at his construction company. One chilly Friday in March, he invites his old college buddy Ryan over a friend who's usually just a background player at parties. For a while, it was all laughter, old stories, the kind of warmth you crave after a long week. But as the evening wore on, and Michael turned in for the night, the atmosphere changed. Imagine you're in my shoes, cleaning up, and a friend lingers a little too long. Ryan's compliments start crossing from kind to questionable, and suddenly you're caught in that uncomfortable gray area between politeness and a violation of trust. Now you might be thinking, was it just harmless banter? Or something deeper? Here's where the technical term boundary violation comes in a clear line that, when crossed, turns a safe space unsafe. In psychology, we call this a breach of social contract, the unwritten rules of respect and trust. Caught off guard? I chose the safest response. I ended the conversation and locked the door as soon as Ryan left. But the real conflict was internal. Did I misunderstand? Or was my intuition sounding an alarm? I wanted to protect Michael, but at what cost to myself? And here's the first lesson. When trust is tested, we're forced to confront the uncomfortable. Do we risk making waves, or do we keep the peace at our own expense? Sometimes, the hardest situations force us to define the boundaries we want and need in our lives. Have you ever carried a secret heavy on your conscience, unsure if speaking up will make things better or worse? That was me, the morning after Ryan crossed the line. Michael, oblivious, was pouring his coffee, while Ryan texted him like nothing had happened. The psychological term cognitive dissonance describes this internal tug of war. What you know doesn't match what you see. And for days, I battled it in silence. Now, you might be wondering, why not just tell Michael right away? It's not that simple. Let me paint the picture. Michael and Ryan's friendship spans decades. Exposing Ryan's behavior risks not only hurting my husband, but shattering his trust in someone he's counted on since college. It's like standing at the edge of an emotional fault line, knowing one wrong move could trigger an earthquake. Instead, I tried to reinforce my own boundaries quietly. When Ryan sent a casual text about a barbecue recipe, I ignored it on the surface. Innocent, but in context, a red flag. The technical term here is gaslighting, when someone's actions make you doubt your own perception. Was I reading too much into things, or was there a pattern emerging? The conflict escalated when Michael invited Ryan over again. This time, I stayed vigilant. No more being alone in the same room. No more polite smiles. When Ryan tried to test his luck again, I confronted him directly, making my boundaries explicit and unmistakable. Resolution came not with ease, but with clarity. Standing up for myself meant risking discomfort, even confrontation. But in that moment, I reclaimed my agency, my right to define what behavior is acceptable in my own life. So, what happens when you finally decide to speak the truth, no matter the consequences? After Ryan's second advance and my line in the sand confrontation, I had to make another tough choice. Tell Michael everything. If you've ever had to deliver bad news to someone you care about, you know the fear. Will this break something that can't be repaired? There's a concept in social dynamics called rupture and repair. Relationships are tested when trust is broken, but healing only happens with honesty and action. Michael's reaction was a storm of anger and disappointment. He met with Ryan, ended the friendship, and made it clear that some lines once crossed can never be uncrossed. Now, you might be thinking, was it worth the pain? Absolutely. Loss is never easy. Michael lost a friend. I lost some innocence about the people we let into our lives. But what we gained was even greater. A renewed sense of unity and trust in our marriage. Our foundation built on honesty, not silence, became stronger. Let me tell you, protecting your boundaries isn't selfish. It's essential. Like a firewall in computer security, boundaries safeguard what matters most. And just as computers need regular updates, relationships need regular check-ins and honest conversations. In the end, I learned that adversity can be a teacher. It reveals who we are and what we value. For me, the lesson was this: trust is sacred, boundaries are non-negotiable, and the courage to speak up is what keeps both intact. Maybe you faced a similar test, or maybe one is coming. Either way, remember, your voice is your strongest shield.